What happened in that tree?
Inside the tree, I went to heaven, and I sat on Jesus' lap, and he told me, Annabelle, when if the firefighters get you out, there will be nothing wrong with you.
It was a still Texas afternoon, the sort where the sky stretches endlessly, the wind barely stirs, and everything feels too calm, too serene for sorrow to have a voice. But on that day, something remarkable unfolded. A young girl, delicate and battling a relentless illness, would plunge headfirst 30 feet into the heart of a hollow tree and emerge not just alive, but healed. What she returned with left seasoned doctors without words and touched hearts in ways no one could have expected. This is the true account of Annabel Beam, a child whose brush with death would carry her into the presence of Jesus and bring her back again. Annabel Beam was a bright-eyed little girl, brimming with curiosity and joy, seemingly just like any other child her age. But behind her cheerful spirit, something in her body was quietly failing. From the time she was 4, Annabel endured severe stomach pain, relentless vomiting, and dangerous abdominal swelling. Her mother, Christy Beam, could only watch in anguish as her daughter's vibrant spark began to fade beneath the weight of 2 rare and incurable digestive conditions, enteral hypomotility and pseudo-obstruction motility disorder. Her intestines barely functioned, leaving her unable to process food like other children. Most days, she depended on feeding tubes and a steady stream of medications just to get by. Some days, Annabel was too weak to stand, her strength drained by a body that refused to cooperate with the vibrant soul inside it. She was imprisoned in her own skin, unable to live the life her heart dreamed of. Doctors exhausted every option, and hospital rooms became as familiar as her own bedroom. Through it all, Annabel would ask the one question no parent is ever prepared to answer: why did God make me this way? Christy did her best to stay strong, to be a rock for her daughter. But inside, she was unraveling. She prayed fiercely, pleaded through tears, questioned everything, and whispered into the silence, "God, are you even listening?" Yet even on her darkest days, Annabel held on to her smile. Her spirit remained gentle and full of light. She found joy in animals, laughter with her sisters, and the simple thrill of climbing the massive old cottonwood tree on their land, its limbs stretched out like an open invitation to leave the pain behind, if only for a moment. One afternoon in 2011, that towering cottonwood tree became the setting for something miraculous. Annabel and her sister, full of laughter and adventure, decided to climb its hollow trunk, their giggles echoing as they reached toward the sky. But in an instant, everything changed. A branch snapped without warning, and Annabel plummeted headfirst 30 feet down into the dark, narrow heart of the tree. Emergency crews rushed to the scene. Firefighters, paramedics, concerned neighbors, all bracing for the worst. No one could fathom how a child could survive such a fall, especially headfirst into the cramped, unyielding space inside that tree. And yet, Annabel was still alive. For hours, she remained trapped within its dark, narrow trunk, the world above unable to reach her. But according to Annabel, something extraordinary took place in that hidden space. She said she left her body. What came next wasn't darkness or fear, but light. Brilliant, consuming, peaceful. There was no pain, no panic, just calm, just presence. She later described what she saw as heaven. "I was in Jesus' lap," she told her parents. "He told me I was going to be okay." She spoke of seeing her great-grandmother, long past. She described flowers more beautiful than anything found on earth. Jesus told her that her body would be healed, and that when she returned, she'd be fine. Then just like that, she woke up. When rescue crews finally pulled her out and rushed her to the hospital, the medical team braced for the inevitable: broken bones, head trauma, internal injuries, but there was nothing. No fractures, no brain damage, no bleeding, not even a concussion. The scans were clean, and then came the unexplainable. Her chronic stomach pain disappeared completely. She started eating foods she had never been able to tolerate. Day by day, week by week, she grew stronger. Test after test confirmed what no one could understand. The disorders were gone. The girl who once relied on feeding tubes and constant medication was now eating, playing and laughing like any healthy child. Doctors were stunned. No medical rationale could explain it, but her mother knew. Christy wept, not just out of relief, but awe. This wasn't just a recovery. It was a divine intervention, a healing that defied every scientific explanation. Annabel, still quiet and humble, didn't seek attention. She was still just a girl, soft-spoken and kind. But what she had seen and experienced couldn't be kept silent. Over time, she became more open about her journey. To her, heaven wasn't some distant dream. It was real, more real than anything she had ever known. She spoke of safety, of light, of Jesus' presence, and his promise, "You're going to be okay." And she was. Her story became the foundation for the book Miracles from Heaven, written by Christy Beam, which later inspired a major film starring Jennifer Garner. But beyond the bestseller lists and movie screens, the most powerful part of Annabel's story lives in the everyday moments. The meals shared at the family table, the pain-free mornings, the quiet grace of a life once shattered, now whole. Annabel's healing didn't just transform her health, it renewed her family's faith. Christy, who once questioned God in the sterile corridors of hospitals, now stands as a witness. She knows what it means to doubt, to ache, to cry out in the silence. But now she also knows that even in the quiet, God is listening. Even when unseen, Jesus is near. Their story has become a beacon for the weary parent, the desperate believer, the one lost in the shadows asking, "Where is God?" The answer comes gently and profoundly, through the testimony of a young girl who met Jesus inside a tree. In a world that often feels cold and chaotic, where miracles can seem like distant echoes from another time, Annabel Beam's journey is a reminder of something deeper, that God still heals, that he still speaks, and that heaven is never as far as it seems. And sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't just the healing, but the nearness of God in the middle of our pain. Annabel's healing went far beyond the physical. Her story became a source of restoration for countless others. Hearts mended, faith rekindled, hope reignited. All because one little girl fell into the depths of a tree and into the arms of a Savior who caught her in eternity. Through her journey, people began to believe again, not just in miracles, but in a God who still moves, still loves, and still reaches into the broken places with healing hands. If you're hurting today, if your heart feels shattered, or your faith is barely holding on, remember Annabel. Remember that in her lowest moment, when everything seemed hopeless, heaven drew near. When medicine had no answers, Jesus did. And he didn't just heal her body, he held her close, cradled in his lap, and reminded her of the truth. She was loved, chosen, and made whole. Maybe he's doing the same for you right now. Even in the silence, even in the ache, you are not forgotten. You are not alone. Heaven still comes close. If this story stirred something in your heart, don't forget to subscribe. Here, we share powerful true miracles, divine encounters, biblical revelations, and real-life testimonies that will ignite your spirit and strengthen your walk with God. Let this channel be your sanctuary of hope, a place where faith is restored and inspiration never runs dry.